What's going on, guys? This is MrTeej66's Movie Reviews. I am Mr. Teej. Today, I am joined by my two guests.
I'm Nyx Eradicatus.
I'm Caden.
And we are going to review, since today is Kurt Cobain's birthday, he would have been 51 today, we are going to review the documentary film Montage of Heck. Now, I hadn't actually seen this documentary before, and it's basically his sort of his like personal stuff, like, you know, his personal notes and home videos and things like that, all edited together with interviews from people who knew him.
A lot of audio recordings he did, and it's they use animation to bring.
Yeah, very well, I
things
must
to
say.
life.
It has a kind of a rotoscope feel to it, sort of. Like, I don't know if that's the technique they use, but it's what it felt like. It's very realistic movements, and it was like him recording into a microphone or something of, like, you know, his personal experiences when he was a teenager, and that was actually very well done, I must say. As a whole, the documentary probably shows him at his most human. You know, he wasn't really a perfect guy. Certainly, we all knew this, but I think this documentary really helped show it more than probably any other documentary about him I've ever seen. Of course, I read a lot of biographies of him when I was a kid, so I was kind of obsessed with him. Not quite obsessed, but I definitely was interested. So there's a few things in the documentary that they sort of skip over, or like don't really give that much detail about, like the time he was at Sub Pop Records. They sort of just, you know,
No,
go
he
over
wasn't
that.
doing so much recording during that
Yeah,
time.
but that was a crucial part of it. But they sort of, you know, gloss over that, which is understandable. You can't get his entire life in a nutshell in 2 hours.
I think that the focus of this documentary was more his personal life than his band life. Of course, obviously the twain meet, but
Of course.
I think that being that these were based on his personal recordings, the focus of this particular one was on his personal life more
Yeah.
than his
And
professional
there's a
life.
lot of, like, there's whole movies of him, you know, like him and Courtney, which I was, like, really, it was interesting to watch, but it was kind of weird at the same time. It felt like, you know, this is very personal stuff. I shouldn't be watching this. It's just, it kind of like felt like voyeurism a little bit, you know, like I'm
There's
watching.
a sense of that, but I think, you know, I felt a little bit the same way when I first watched them, but knowing that his daughter had so much input on how this was put together,
Mhm.
I kind of felt like if I had Francis's blessing to be watching it, that, you know, that's about as close.
And I'm assuming Courtney probably did too, because she's actually in the documentary, which is very surprising.
I think she gave it mostly, from what I know, she gave it mostly over to Francis to make the decision.
She did. Oh, okay, because she's actually is interviewed in the documentary, which is kind of surprising. I didn't expect her to show up, but I was like, okay. And some surprising nudity. I must give that little shout out. I did not expect to see that. You know, you actually, you know, she flashes a little for the camera, which I was like,
Surprising amount
yeah.
of TNA.
I was like, I did not expect to see that, but okay,
I mean, it was
fine.
Courtney Love. If there's
Yeah.
one thing we know about her, it's that she's free with her bosom.
I guess so. That was very surprising. And they also interview Kurt's first girlfriend,
Tracy Miranda.
who, she seems like a nice person, but whoa, she got, how do I say this nicely? Her
She has
chest,
an ample bosom.
oh my God, it's like out to here. I'm just, it was just.
She has matronly tits.
Oh my God! Like every time I cut back there, I started to just giggle a little. Couldn't help it. I was just like,
There's two kinds of
wow.
women in this world: those who have matronly bosom and those who don't.
That's true.
I followed Tracy Miranda on Pinterest.
She's on Pinterest?
Mhm.
I didn't know that. Oh,
I think
cool.
she's a teacher.
Is she really?
I enjoy her pins.
Oh, that's so. There's a lot of animation in the film as well, as I said. There's a lot of, like, sort of his artwork, which, you know, animation of his artwork, which I thought was very well done. Some of it goes on a little too long, I think, but other than that, it was pretty good.
Mhm.
Caden, do you have anything to add to the conversation over here? You're the strong, quiet one over here.
I don't know. It's definitely a neat peek into their lives, and like you guys were saying, at first it's a little bit weird, but you know, knowing who put it out gave us.
He's speechless. He can't. He was so moved. He's just speechless.
King is our resident Cobain-esque figure.
Yes, exactly. That's right. He has.
I look the part. I play some
Yeah,
music.
exactly.
If only we had somebody who
And Kurt was a
bit
very
like Courtney Love.
And Kurt was a very quiet guy in real life. I have nothing to say to that. Anyway, I must say some of the most moving parts of the documentary were see scenes of him, and Frances together when she's a baby. That was really sad. Like, I don't know, like, you almost kind of get mad at him a little bit for doing that. Like, why, like, she was, you know what I'm saying? Like, she was denied a father. I know he was depressed, but it's like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's like, wasn't she enough to, like, live for? I don't know. It's hard to judge someone when they're that, depressed and everything. I know.
Depressed and also addicted to a mind-altering substance.
Yeah, that is true. He was, of course, as we all know, he was a heroin junkie. Or junkie? Would you classify him as a junkie?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, it was just really sad to see that, because he obviously loved her very much. He wrote about her in his journals and everything. I don't know. It's very sad. Well, what else do you have to add to this? Because I don't know if I said almost everything I could think of to say, because it's hard to review a documentary because there's no real plot to it. So
spoiler alert: he dies.
I know, shocking, right?
Yeah, it's a bummer.
I think that it's probably a good starter documentary for anyone who's interested in Kurt Cobain. It doesn't go into any of the crazy theories. It doesn't really go into conjecture. It's just
like Kurt and Courtney, the documentary from the 90s.
Here he is. There's another documentary actually that we haven't discussed, which I believe it's called About a Son, that I remember seeing in a small theater called Burns Court in Sarasota,
I've
Florida.
heard of this one, actually.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I think I only ever saw it in the theater. I vaguely remember going to see it. That's another good one that's to be checked out. That's, if I remember correctly, conspiracy theory free. I don't subscribe to the conspiracy theories. I'm just saying.
Yeah, so I have my CD here of Nirvana, in utero. I've had this since I was 13 years old, and it's traveled everywhere I've ever been. And I mean, I think that the documentary also really shows that he was the spokesman of his generation, whether he wanted it or not.
I bought this CD from a pawn shop in Sarasota, Florida, and I had a friend named Stephen McManus who borrowed it and still hasn't given it back. I was 17. Where's my CD?
So note to him, give it back. It's been how long?
Many years.
The world is cruel, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I think that's. Do you guys have anything else to add to this? Because I'm pretty. Oh yeah, of course we have to talk about the books. Now I think this book actually came out.
It came back out a while ago. I think there's a Courtney version too.
Really?
Ooh, hiss. No, I'm not one of those.
No. Well, it's another thing to talk about. Courtney. I'm hit or miss with her. I do think sometimes she has been unfairly labeled in the press, but then there's other times where I see her and it's like, kind of a bitch. I mean, I know. But
well,
it's about 50-50 with me with her.
Here's the thing. Loudmouth sluts have a place in the world, and that's next to quiet guys who like to be fucked.
I have no shame anymore.
Aces in their places. Hey,
Exactly.
loudmouth sluts.
Yes. All right. Well, I think that's just about going to do it. I don't think there's really anything else. We basically discussed everything about it. It's a very, not a simple documentary, but, it's very straightforward. Have you guys found any flaws in it? Like, things you didn't like about it? Let's discuss that, because you got to...
I don't know. I took it for what it was. I enjoyed it. It was actually better than I thought. I think a lot of the other documentaries can be dry or obsessed with his death. This one, the one thing I liked about it is that it ends... it mentions that he died, obviously. But it doesn't really go into, anything. It stops just before the death. Because enough has been said about that. He died. That's not the most important part of who he was.
It's a little bit of an abrupt ending, I think. It just sort of, skids to... I understand what you're saying, but I think they could have maybe trailed it off a little bit more, because it basically just... I was like, oh, it's over.
The other guy...
It's for a reason, though, because, it was about his life. They didn't want to make it about his death.
Oh, yeah, I understand that, but I just felt like they could have...
He's had enough funerals. This was his celebration of life.
I just think they could have maybe, transitioned out a little bit more. Just a few... Not even a few more, a few more seconds. I don't know. I just thought it hit the brakes and was like, okay, we're done. I'm like, oh, okay, we're done.
That's kind of what happened.
Well, yeah, that's true. Although it does end on a very good note, him singing "Where Did You Sleep Last Night." That was actually a really good way to end it. I do have to give him credit for that. Yeah, because that is probably one of his most powerful performances he ever did. Like that, he's just screaming on that track at the end. I mean, it's heartbreaking. All right, well, I think that's just about going to do it. Now, next you have a YouTube page.
I have a YouTube channel, Nick's Eradicatus. Maybe he'll put a link in the description.
Yep, I'll do that. And Caden, you have no YouTube
Nothing
channel
yet.
whatsoever. But there is a possibility. Who knows?
He's on mine sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, that's just about going to do it. This is MrTeej66, and I will see you next. Oh, do we want to give a rating for this movie, by the way?
I would give it a solid thumb up.
Okay, I do a rating system, so
Give it two.
I'm gonna give it probably an 8.5. It was pretty good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. A few parts which I thought were glossed over.
It's a 10 if you're a Kurt Cobain fan. It's probably a 7 if you're not.
Okay, fair enough. Anyway, so this is MrTeej66, and I will see you next time.